I got all I want, and I got all I need, and I got everything. I got you and me. All I want, I got all I need.
All right, welcome back to Marriage is the Best. So we're going to shift gears a little bit today. Today I was sitting and thinking about our episode, and I decided that it would be kind of fun to address a different audience. And I was thinking about kind of the current culture and what the high school students and the college students and maybe just grown single people are currently living in, this like culture of apps and phones and chaos in our politic and in the value structures of our world. It does seem that a lot of the different value structures that used to kind of undergird civilization were used to be a little more stable. They used to be a little bit easier to find common ground with other people in. And so because of that, chaos in the value structure in the world of politics and religion and how divided and disconnected and harsh the current climate is, it has to be really difficult for people moving through a season of singleness, moving through dating, because our current setup seems to be creating an environment that is more difficult for people to move through and find their spouses in, find their people. And actually, people right now are finding their spouses much later on in life, which impacts a whole myriad of things and isn't necessarily wrong to find your partner later on in life. But it does have some implications for a few different markers, mainly how many children you're going to have. The later the years are, when you start your marriage, there's a very specific kind of formulaic trend in how many children you'll have long term. And so I thought to myself, it would be interesting to identify maybe the 5 foundational beliefs on marriage that you would want to establish before you get married. And so that's what we're going to be talking about today.
What is love? Baby, don't hurt me. Don't hurt me no more.
So the first foundational belief that we're going to be talking about is marriage is primarily a friendship. Primarily a friendship that is meant to last forever. Both of those are important. Kind of, they're two sides of the coin in this point, right? Like, marriage is primarily a friendship, but we can't stop there. It's not just primarily a friendship. It's a friendship that is meant for something greater, right? It's greater than friendship. And in one of those categories of greater than, you find that it is meant to last forever. So marriage is a covenantal friendship. A friendship where there is a lot of commitment. And so we're going to talk a little bit about commitment in the next slide, in the next point. So when you think about a friendship, right, you're thinking about people that you share interests with, people that you share values with, people that you really enjoy sharing and spending your time with. You're going to want to think about someone who you can converse with, who engages with you mentally, emotionally, intellectually, maybe theologically, and you want them to be able to engage in such a way that is long-lasting. And so some signs that you're looking for, right, early on in a relationship is like, can we hold down and enjoy a conversation long term? Can we enjoy doing nothing together? Can we enjoy doing something trivial together? Can we enjoy doing something that is menial, task oriented? Little things, little signs that this person is so enjoyable to spend time with that I don't mind doing little easy or meaningless tasks with them, because just being around them, just being in their presence is enough for me to want to enjoy myself. So, because we have to be able to sustain that friendship over time, right? And so what are some of those markers for sustainability early on is really long conversations, staying up really, really late, talking, the sense of time just kind of evaporates, and you're just enjoying, you're not even aware that time exists in these moments, because you're just enjoying the other person and their mind and their conversation. And, I'm actually thinking over the phone right now. I don't even know if I specified that, but because you're going to want that foundation to be able to sustain further conversations moving forward. If you don't like talking to the person that you're with right now and you're dating them, this does not actually apply to if you're married to them, because that's a separate issue. But if you're not finding that you really love and enjoy spending time conversing and chatting and doing little, medium and big things with this person, that's hard. That's a tough signal. We need to pay attention to that signal, because it may very well mean that the sustainability of the system, there's a question mark there. Are we going to be able to sustain this friendship? Over time is a really big part to this, right? We have to be able to establish and maintain this friendship over a long, long period of time. And so with that comes kind of number 2, which is going to be marriage is a commitment.
You make me want to say I do.
So marriage is a commitment. It's a commitment to pursue the other person. It's a commitment to accept them. It's a commitment to share of your life, of your thoughts, of your feelings, the good and the bad and the ugly, to share of your finances, to share of your physical body, to share really all of you, kind of the most vulnerable parts across time and space, and mostly time. It's a commitment to engage. You're committing to engage this person over and over and over again across time, even when it's difficult to engage and even when it's easy to engage. And that's why we want to make sure that the friendship is so strong, because otherwise the commitment to engage and share and enjoy and pursue and accept becomes extremely difficult. If you don't already have a foundation where you really enjoy this person and you really want to engage, you really want to early on just kind of love and be loved and share in that, then it can be really difficult later on when the going gets tough and stress and family and children and finances and the world throw curveballs at you. It really threatens the deeper foundational parts of the relationship. And so if that friendship isn't strong enough, then it is threatened by those things. Which brings us to number 3. Marriage is the biggest blessing when great and horribly stressful when not. So why would you want someone who is single or in college or high school to understand that marriage is both the biggest blessing and this horribly stressful thing? Is because marriage isn't by its nature a given. It's not easy. It's not something that you're going to haphazardly fall into greatness. You're not going to just be a master of your marriage right off the bat. And it doesn't really matter if you feel like you're really set up really well for marriage, or if you feel, way behind, you are going to have trouble. So I would want them to know that marriage is the biggest blessing. Okay. So that's the idea of marriage is the best. It really is. When when the friendship is there and the commitment is there, it is literally the best relationship that you have access to on earth. There is no other relationship like marriage in its depth and its intimacy and its ability to impact all sorts of areas of your life and build you up and grow you up into a different kind of a person. It really is the biggest blessing. A strong, healthy, stable spouse will bless your life more than any amount of income or any other, measurement or metric of success. It creates such depth and meaning and longevity and have so many benefits. And so it really is the best when it's great. However, it's really stressful when it's suffering. And that's normal. And I would want them to know both of that, right? I would want the people, whoever's listening to this, I want you to know that marriage is super fantastic and horribly stressful. The horrible stress when you have the friendship and the commitment already there, right? Friendship kind of connotating connection over time, and then the commitment meaning, grounded and not looking elsewhere and sticking with it and sticking through the hard times. Then the horribly stressful, you can move through those things. So it's a reality that needs to be acknowledged, but it's not necessarily something that we aren't moving through well, when those other two beliefs, those foundational beliefs or realities are a part of your marriage. Which brings us to number 4. Marriage is an addition equation. It reflects each individual and their health and their wellness. In order to prepare your foundation well for your marriage, you want to know that what you bring into that marriage, what you're bringing into your relationship as an individual, has a great impact on your ability to achieve health and wellness and longevity in your marriage. And so if you're struggling with an addiction outside of your marriage, if you're struggling with an addiction as an individual, your addiction obviously will not stop, once you're married. Oftentimes, there's the idea that like I can just stop once I'm married, for whatever. And that doesn't tend to work out for people very well. Those things that they felt like they were going to be able to kick, that felt like they were going to be able to change once they were inside the marriage, they continue. And in fact, those individual habits and patterns in your life tend to either get exacerbated by the marriage, because marriage inevitably brings on horrible stress eventually, through the seasons of life. Marriage doesn't necessarily bring it on, but life does. And in marriage, it can be extremely stressful. And so the marriage is an addition equation. So if your health and wellness, if you can work on the different areas of yourself individually, your self-confidence, the value in yourself, knowing and seeing who you are, all your gifts and talents and your strengths, if you can get really, really a strong footing in that, and then present that strong footing, that front, to not like a bad front, not like a pretend front, but the realness, right? Really present that to another person, and they fall in love, or they are attracted to that, and they want to engage in it. And so then you guys pursue each other, and you're seeing also that they are putting in the work, right? That they as an individual are self-aware. They're noticing their flaws. They're noticing, they take ownership. That's huge. They take ownership of when something goes awry, or, different things like that. So it's important to know that the things that you're bringing in as an individual are going to have an impact on your marriage. And so whatever you can do in the meantime, in the current season of your life, to kind of update those individual things. Everybody, I remember being single and oftentimes feeling like there were things that I was falling short on, and trying to identify those things and make them better. And so if you're doing that, if you're practicing your self-awareness, if you're practicing improving yourself, if you're, if you're teachable, if you're willing to learn, all of those things, if you're curious, that's another really powerful one. All of those things make for really good partners. And so if you want to be a really good partner, then you want to see those kinds of fruit in your life. And then if you are, pursuing them actively in your life, you're not going to miss them in another person. So yeah, you're going to attract the kind of person that you are also attempting to make yourself into. And so if you are intentionally making yourself better, doing your own work, engaging yourself and learning and growing, you're going to attract someone who's doing kind of similar things very often. And if you're not, and you're unaware and you're prideful, or you lack curiosity, or you think that you're really, really, really great, and there's a lack of insight and a lack of intentional kind of effort in growing and building, then you're going to probably attract someone that is similar. And so, yeah, if you have things that you know that you need or want in a spouse, you should also be looking at your own heart patterns, habits, and making sure that you're also making choices around that same thing. I've been working with one of my clients for a few years who knew that they wanted to improve a bunch of different areas of life. They wanted to improve their anxieties. They wanted to improve their ability to communicate. They wanted to improve all sorts of different kind of internal processes. And in doing so, they also decided that they needed to pause their pursuit of a relationship. And as we worked together, we were able to kind of identify little areas of growth that they wanted to engage in, and little by little kind of create this really cool foundation of this person. We were able to kind of build up and strengthen the areas that were strong already. And then we were also able to address some of the weak areas to really round this person out. And we got to a place where it was finally very clear that they were ready for someone, and specifically the right kind of someone, to arrive or to come into their life. And before, they were really struggling with finding the wrong kind of person, the kind of person that they didn't, in fact, want in their life. And that pattern had kind of circled around multiple times, this person, and there was some similarities within these people. And so that's kind of our fifth and final kind of point here is, and so because of the work that was done and the strength that they had kind of sown into their foundation, they now get to reap the benefit in their relationship in the right time, as opposed to what they were finding before, which was just a really strong negative pattern of all the relationships that weren't helpful, weren't beneficial, and that they obviously were not going to establish long term because the foundation wasn't great. And fifth and finally, marriage always has trouble. I think this is important to know and understand, that no matter what relationship you choose, whether you choose an Amy or a Sarah or a Becca or a Lauren, each individual person that you could choose, a Josh or a Joel or a Nicholas, all of the different kinds of people that you could potentially choose come with a different set of issues. But that set of issues is based on their personal brokenness of what they inherited from their parents and the wounds that they carry from development, and the wounds that you carry from development, and the things that you inherited from your parents. And together, you're going to make this broken vessel. And there are holes in the vessel, and there are always going to be consistent problems and struggles in the relationship. I think that this principle is really important for people outside of marriage to understand, and people looking forward toward marriage to understand, because there is there is no marriage that can be crafted that doesn't have regular issues. You have control over the regular issues that you want to contend with. Becca and I have very regular issues that we contend with. Sometimes it feels like it's daily. Sometimes it feels like it's weekly, but it rears its head very, very often because I am broken and I carry that brokenness into our relationship as an individual, and she is broken and she does the same. And in our realness, in our authenticity, in our brokenness, there are holes in the relationship. And in those holes, there's no way for me to radically change myself to cover the hole. There's no way for her to radically change herself. But we do dialogue, we do engage in conversation very regularly to talk through and walk through and work through the issues that we so often find. And the idea is that we get better. We just get progressively better at engaging in those conversations over time. But we're never going to change each other. We're never going to change some of these core vulnerable issues that cause struggle and stress and strife. And so that's important to know. It's important to know that regardless of how deeply you desire marriage, marriage is two broken parts that can't complete each other fully. And there's trouble in that.
The trouble with loving.
And so even though it is the best and the biggest blessing and the most wonderful relationship that you have access to on earth, it is also full of trouble. And so you want to have a friendship that will last forever, that is a strong commitment, that provides great blessing, that weathers horrible stress, that reflects individually and acknowledges that we are going to have trouble and we are committed to working through the trouble that we find. And that's what makes marriage the best. This is the end.
And I got everything. I got you and me. All I want, I got all I need.
Commitment and lasting forever is obviously, I hate it. I hate it. Why? Why is the transition so bad? And we're going to talk a little bit about trouble later, but that's unnecessary. Don't say that again. Nope, don't say that either. You are so off today. Oh my goodness. Are you done?